The oceans cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, yet much about them remains a mystery. Just below the surface hides a strange and magical world. Colorful, wonderful creatures waiting to be discovered. And share their secrets. This is Earth's last great frontier, and one of the most challenging places to explore. An environment as fragile as it is harsh and unforgiving for the animals that live here and struggle to survive. In this big blue world of oceans. These gentle ocean waters are the picture of tranquility, yet below their surface, terror. Sharks have long been the symbol of all that is fearful in our oceans. For most, our image of these creatures is singular and simplistic. A silver bullet in the water, a fin that foreshadows death, razor-sharp teeth, and a cold, unblinking stare. But not all sharks are created equal. Each one a specialized hunter with unique adaptations. Which have allowed it to survive and thrive in the oceans for over 400 million years. Preferring cooler and deeper waters, blue sharks are found off the coasts of every continent except Antarctica. Their slender bodies are so flexible they turn on a dime. They can even bite their own tail. This female blue shark is pregnant. She weighs over 400 pounds and can easily take on prey larger than herself. Soon, she'll give birth to over 100 pups. With sharks, mating can be a violent affair. A male bull shark will bite the female during courtship, leaving visible scars. To protect herself, her skin is 3 times thicker than the male's. Like other species, blue sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading. Looking down from above, they blend into the depths. While from below, their white bellies disappear against the sunlit waters. For blue sharks, their long, slender bodies give them an evolutionary advantage. Others rely on brute force. Named after the bull, not only for its intimidating size and stout silhouette, the bull shark is notoriously aggressive. Preferring to hunt in shallow waters, they can survive in both saltwater and fresh, and will travel hundreds of miles upriver in search of a meal. Just off the coast of Mexico, a bull shark scans the ocean floor, hoping to detect tiny electrical signals that could indicate its prey. Bull sharks are aggressive predators and very sloppy eaters. For other smaller fish, staying close by means an easy meal. But if they get too close, they risk becoming the meal. A tiny blue runner has taken up a daring position, caught up in the shark's momentum and only inches from its jaw. If it's lucky, the little fish will fall to the side, taking a more humble position. Making a quick escape, the blue runner joins the remoras, which know better than to try to outrun a bull shark. Along with the bull sharks and white sharks, the tiger shark rounds out the big three. These sharks hold the unfortunate record for the most attacks on humans worldwide, and should be treated with extreme caution and respect. While white sharks get all the attention, the tiger, with its striped camouflage and imposing size, is an equally impressive hunter. But they are also scavengers and will eat just about anything, from crustaceans to stingrays to dolphins and even unlucky seabirds. So unfussy is this nocturnal hunter that it will even eat garbage and inedible man-made objects. But what it desires most is a sea turtle. With sharp, serrated teeth and powerful jaws, it can easily crack open their hard shells. It scours the reef, but will settle for anything it finds, including other sharks. Like this wobblegong. Barely resembling a shark at all, it's a species of carpet shark, so called for its uniquely patterned and colorful skin. Wobblegongs rest on the seafloor during the day. Then, after dark, they creep across the bottom, using their impressive camouflage to sneak up on prey. But with the tiger shark nearby, this wobblegong isn't taking any chances. Instead, it will use the fleshy lobes around its mouth as bait to ambush unsuspecting prey. Deep in the waters of the Caribbean, a large group of lemon sharks is gathering. Sharks are typically thought of as antisocial killers with one-track minds. But lemons actually seek each other out for company. They spend several hours a day resting together and socializing on the seabed. Like other social animals, this behavior provides many evolutionary advantages, like superior hunting, courtship, and protection. But it's not just about power in numbers. The lemon sharks maintain active social networks and share knowledge with other members of the group. Individual sharks may even have unique personality traits, which could explain why they're so picky about who their friends are. In every social group, there are always a few hangers-on. For lemons and many other sharks, there are the remoras. These fish literally hang on to the sides and bellies of sharks, with specialized suction discs on their heads. Since remoras have no swim bladder to keep them afloat, they rely on sharks and other animals to get around. The relationship between remoras and sharks is mutually beneficial. In exchange for free rides, remoras act as cleaner fish by removing parasites from their hosts. Some sharks will even slow down so remoras can hop on board. It's unknown whether sharks choose not to eat their companions, or if the remora's strategic positioning keeps them just out of reach. Either way, they've never been found inside a shark's stomach, which is all that really matters to a remora. For those looking to take the slower, more scenic route, a whale shark is the perfect mode of transport. Growing up to 60 feet long, the whale shark is the largest shark and largest fish in the world. Despite their massive size, they feed on some of the smallest animals in the sea, so it takes a while to get their fill. Whale sharks eat plankton mostly, but today they timed their trip here to coincide with a mass spawning of fish. As the eggs float to the surface, the sharks open their mouths up to 5 feet wide. They force huge amounts of seawater through their humongous gills, which separate food from water. Their slow and gentle nature makes them easy targets for predators. And with so much time spent on the surface, they're often hit by passing ships. Blue sharks will prey on juvenile whale sharks, but only orcas dare to take on an adult. The pattern of the spots on their backs is unique to each individual. This cryptic camouflage is also their first line of defense. But their most protective adaptation is their tough skin and thick layer of cartilage. Sadly, they are defenseless against a relatively new threat: plastic. In some parts of the world, whale sharks are swallowing over 100 pieces of plastic every hour. And manta rays are right behind them. Closely related to sharks, few creatures on Earth are as graceful and mysterious as the giant oceanic manta ray. Highly intelligent, social, and complex, mantas have the largest brain to body size of any fish in the sea. They can even recognize people. Like whale sharks, manta rays filter feed, using specially adapted fins to scoop plankton into their mouths. These fins may also be used for sensing their environment or communicating with each other. While mantas are uniformly gray on top, the markings on their bellies are unique to each individual, like a human fingerprint. They must keep moving in order to breathe, so they feed in small circles. Following a steady stream of plankton, mantas gorge themselves in single file. When they reach the end, they loop back for seconds. Having evolved from bottom-dwelling stingrays, mantas and their cousins, the devil rays, have undergone several adaptations. Their mouths are now located at the front of their heads to aid in filter feeding. They also lost the venomous barbs on their tails, making them completely harmless to people. Sadly, the reverse cannot be said. Today, humans are the greatest threat to these gentle giants. And since they are slow to grow and reproduce, the future of these magnificent creatures hangs in the balance. What mantas have in grace, makos have in speed. The short-finned mako can reach top speeds of 60 miles per hour, making it the fastest shark in the sea. The mako's blood vessels are uniquely modified to keep its body temperature elevated in cold water. This helps its muscles and brain stay alert and ready to attack. But the secret to its speed lies in its skin. Shark skin is covered with millions of small scales called denticles, which reduce drag and increase lift. A mako's denticles are extremely flexible, making them even more efficient in the water. By 3D printing these denticles, biomimicry researchers hope to one day cover helicopter blades and fighter jet wings with a mako skin surface to reduce drag. Of the nearly 500 species of sharks on Earth, the hammerhead is one of the strangest looking. Compared to other sharks, they evolved somewhat recently, about 20 million years ago, making them the youngest species of sharks alive today. There are many theories to explain the hammerhead's uniquely shaped head. It seems to improve their swimming by helping them turn more quickly. Their wide-set eyes give them a larger range of vision than other sharks. With electrical receptors spread over a larger area, they can scan the sea floor for prey more efficiently. And when they find stingrays buried in the sand, they'll use the sides of their heads to pin them down while feeding on the ray's wings. With 1 out of every 4 species at risk of extinction. In reality, sharks should be afraid of us. We kill 100 million of them every year. Even though they keep our oceans healthy and support local economies. They have thrived in this world of oceans for millions of years. And it is up to humankind to ensure that they continue to survive. The oceans cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, yet much about them remains a mystery. Just below the surface hides a strange and magical world. Colorful, wonderful creatures waiting to be discovered. And share their secrets. This is Earth's last great frontier, and one of the most challenging places to explore. An environment as fragile as it is harsh and unforgiving for the animals that live here and struggle to survive. In this big blue world of oceans. In the vast and immense bodies of water covering our planet, where light is only close to the surface and darkness and mystery are found in the deep, many creatures rely on size, speed, and strength to survive. But some have evolved another trait. Perhaps the most powerful of them all. Family. Somewhere in the North Atlantic Ocean, these giants are sleeping. Female sperm whales are highly social. They live in family groups called pods and work together to raise their young, while adult males travel alone or move from pod to pod. Like all mammals, whales need to breathe air, so they sleep just below the surface and come up for air in between short naps. Sperm whales spend just 7% of their time asleep, less than any other mammal on Earth. So it's rare to witness a family slowly waking up after a deep sleep. The females in this close-knit family group will stay together for 10 or more years. They share knowledge, sounds, and hunting skills with one another. Learning from each other helps them develop a deep bond and sense of belonging, critical for the survival of their family and their species. Sperm whales live in an environment totally different from ours. They see the world through sound. And though it may seem quiet to us, the ocean is a noisy place. And sperm whales are the loudest animals found anywhere on Earth. They use a system of clicking sounds to communicate and strengthen the bonds between females. Their clicks are so powerful, they can transmit messages over hundreds of miles, even across vast oceans. Usually, though, the clicks are used like a kind of sonar to find food. A sperm whale spends most of its life at the depth of over 3,000 feet, hunting for squid in total darkness. Clicks are sent out from the front of its nose and echo back when they hit something. Using this process of echolocation, a sperm whale can locate a single squid over a mile away. About 60 million years ago, a hoofed, wolf-like mammal traded its terrestrial lifestyle for an aquatic one. Over time, it evolved into many different forms, including all 80 species of whales, dolphins, and porpoises we know today. As a result, these long-finned pilot whales share many of the same features as sperm whales, but at a third of the size. Despite its name, the long-finned pilot whale is actually a kind of dolphin, the second largest after the orca. Like their sperm whale cousins, pilot whales are extremely social. They travel, hunt, rest, and play together in tight-knit pods of up to 100. Staying close to the surface during the day, pilot whales hunt mostly at night, diving for squid in deep, cold waters. They're highly vocal when socializing at the surface. But sometimes, silence is better, especially when there are young pilot whales in the pod. Sharks are a constant danger. But orcas pose an even bigger threat. Orcas can listen in on the sounds of pilot whales to locate and hunt them. Many species have developed unique strategies to avoid predation. When they sense a nearby threat, pilot whales seem to communicate very differently. Long-finned pilot whales have one main threat: orcas, the largest and perhaps smartest of all dolphins. The orca is also one of the most strategic predators in the sea, and they can listen in on pilot whales' communications. When pilot whales detect a group of orcas nearby, they will band together to defend their family. But with young pilot whales in the pod, it's simply too risky. White patches on their backs may help them stick together, so they can move away from the threat together without making a sound. Not all marine species live in families. In fact, most are solitary, moving through the water like nomads in search of a meal and a mate. Like this gentle giant. Related to the ocean sunfish, the hoodwinker sunfish was only recently discovered. This is the first time it has ever been filmed off the coast of Chile. Measuring up to 10 feet long and weighing up to 4,000 pounds, the sunfish is the largest bony fish in the world. This peaceful loner spends half his time in the depths hunting jellyfish and the rest of his time on the surface, basking on one side in the sun to warm up between dives. But this makes him an easy target for predators lurking down below, and without a family to protect him, he's completely on his own. Sharks are opportunistic feeders. They don't always finish their food, but in the ocean, nothing ever goes to waste. Not far from the coast, a young South American sea lion is sunbathing on the surface. It's a precarious time in this young male's life. He has not yet earned a place among the sea lion colony, dominated by much larger and more aggressive males. But for now, he is on a lonely crusade and must take every opportunity to feed himself. Even when the promise of a tasty meal means he too could end up on the menu. Sharks and orcas are a constant threat, especially when he's alone. Feeding on the surface is just too risky, so he drags the carcass down to devour what's left. Though young and inexperienced, he knows that a dorsal fin on the surface can mean trouble for a sea lion without a family. But not this fin. An Atlantic sailfish from the warm waters of the Caribbean is in search of a different kind of prey. A top predator and the fastest fish in the sea, it wields an impressive sword-like bill. Little was known about how these fish hunt until recently. But we now know that sailfish work in groups to coordinate elaborate attacks on schools of fish. Teamwork makes them extremely efficient predators. But how they communicate with each other is still a mystery. These sailfish are not family, and they don't vocalize like whales or dolphins. One theory is that they synchronize their hunting by changing color from silver to almost black. They take turns attacking from different angles, reaching top speeds of 70 miles per hour. They use their elongated bills not for stabbing, but for slashing. When they're close enough to strike, they slash their bills sideways to kill as many fish as possible. Bait balls are a double-edged sword. While they provide protection to small fish like sardines, silversides, and anchovies, they're also an easy target, not only for predators below, but also from above. Peruvian boobies, with their excellent binocular-style vision, are always on the lookout for their next meal. They can scan the surface for any kind of disturbance. Once a bait ball is spotted by one, the others quickly join in. In the cold, nutrient-rich waters of the southern Pacific Ocean, the Humboldt Current provides a steady stream of food for many species. Close by, on a small, uninhabited island off the coast of Chile, a Peruvian booby colony finds protection on the steep cliff sides. The chicks have yet to grow their adult feathers, so they're completely dependent on their parents. Chicks require an almost constant supply of food, so parents work together to make sure they never go hungry. While one parent stays with the chick, the other goes in search of food. And there's nothing better than working the bait ball shift. With power, speed, and precision, the booby chooses a target from 100 feet in the air, tucks its wings back, and plunges headfirst into the bait ball. Air sacs in its skull cushion the impact, and a strong, pointed beak pierces the water at breakneck speeds. There's not a moment to waste, as the bait ball can vanish just as fast as it appeared. The chicks are hungry, and the shift change must happen quickly. As one parent returns to the nest, the chicks eagerly anticipate their next meal, and the other parent prepares to take flight. On an isolated island off the Chilean coast, a Peruvian booby family is reunited. The mom has just arrived with a stomach full of food for her chicks, and Dad is ready to feed on what's left of the bait ball. For boobies, family is everything. Booby pairs mate for life, and will work together like this until their chicks are old enough to leave the nest and feed on their own. Just below the booby colony, where the waves crash against the cliff, another family unit is going about their day. At just 10 pounds and 3 feet long, when full grown, marine otters are the smallest marine mammals in the world. These marine otter pups aren't old enough to hunt for themselves yet, so they spend their days doing what otter pups do best, playing. Waiting for mom and being cute. Soon, these pups will have to go off on their own. But for now, there's nothing more important to them than their mother. And nothing she wants more than to spoil her pups. Otters are intelligent and social animals, so there's always time to bond and play. With a very fast metabolism, otters need a near constant supply of calories to keep warm. With little body fat, they must hunt several times a day to stay alive in these cold South Pacific waters. To be a good otter mom, you must be an excellent hunter so you can provide for your pups. To hunt in this environment requires skill, experience, and patience. Fortunately, this otter mom knows exactly where to look to find tasty prey like shrimp and fish. Just off the coast of South America, a marine otter mom is hunting in the kelp forest. Otters need to consume 30% of their body weight every day. And with 2 pups at home, waiting for dinner, she can't go home empty-handed. After their afternoon playtime, the pups are hungry. They're in luck. Mom has brought back a delicious crab. These young otters eat just as much as an adult, so she must continue to provide food almost around the clock. She knows this will not be enough and heads out for the second course. But a mom must eat too. And while the pups are off playing on the rocks, she catches a shrimp and enjoys a little peace and quiet. An otter mom is no different than any other good mother in the animal kingdom. They feed, they teach, and they protect their young. This helps their families to survive and their species to thrive over generations. Here in the ocean, family doesn't always look the same. What matters most is how well you share. Communicate. Work together. And care for each other. In this world of oceans, putting family first can make the difference for survival. The oceans cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, yet much about them remains a mystery. Just below the surface hides a strange and magical world. Colorful, wonderful creatures waiting to be discovered. And share their secrets. This is Earth's last great frontier, and one of the most challenging places to explore. An environment as fragile as it is harsh and unforgiving for the animals that live here and struggle to survive. In this big blue world of oceans. Winding along the Pacific coast of South America, the Humboldt Current emerges from the deep. It brings with it nutrients that form the base of the entire food web. But animals depend on more than just food for survival. Like us, they need shelter to protect themselves and raise their young. A colony of South American sea lions has gathered on this rocky shelf, like they do every year for a very special occasion. They're about to bring new life into the world. During pupping, a female will call to her pup, and the pup should instinctively reply. But something is wrong. Pups are usually born head first, and the protective membrane didn't break. If she can't remove it in time, her pup could suffocate. She calls to it and waits. Her pup is alive and well. But coming into this world is only the first of many dangers it will face. Newborns are especially vulnerable, so mothers will stop eating for 7 days to nurse and watch over them around the clock. The bond between a sea lion mother and her pup is remarkably strong. Over the next 12 months, she will do everything she can to feed and protect her young. The presence of a newborn pup in the colony has attracted a hungry visitor. Turkey vultures have an acute sense of smell, which they use to find food. Their noses lead them straight to the sea lion's discarded placenta. Kelp gulls are quick to join the feeding frenzy. As in most mammals, the placenta nourishes and protects the sea lion pup as it grows inside its mother. Evolving around 120 million years ago, this important organ enabled mammals to achieve tremendous evolutionary success. Placenta allows for newborns to be more fully developed at birth, giving them a greater chance of survival. After pupping is over, placenta is useless to the pup, yet it provides a rich source of protein, iron, and other nutrients for a variety of animals. Taking advantage of resources like food and shelter is key to surviving in the ocean. What's left of the placenta will eventually dissolve, returning its nutrients to the Humboldt Current and giving life to an entire ecosystem. Just below the tide pools and boulders that protect the sea lion colony, an underwater forest provides shelter for creatures large and small. Fish use kelp forests as spawning grounds or as nurseries for their young, while seabirds, sea lions, and other marine animals seek out refuge here from predators and storms. But pelagic species, those that live in the open ocean, must find other ways to protect themselves. Some live in schools because traveling in a group is much safer than being on your own. Others are drawn to things floating on the surface, like driftwood or seaweed. These temporary shelters offer shade from the sun, protection from predators, and other smaller animals to feed upon. Even jellyfish provide habitat for juvenile fish in areas where hiding places are hard to find. Although there's always a chance of being stung and eaten by the jelly, it's a risk these young fish are willing to take. They know that in the open ocean, danger can come from any direction, including from above. Diving seabirds like one-eyed cormorants are a constant threat. With bellies full of Peruvian anchovies, they arrive to their breeding grounds with an important task at hand. They must find a mate and stake out a nest site. Hundreds of thousands of guanay cormorants nest together on remote coastal headlands in densely packed colonies. While the female defends her chosen site, the male collects materials for her to build the nest using guano, feathers, and other debris. It's a grueling process that can take nearly 5 months to complete. When the nest is ready, she'll lay 2 to 4 eggs and take turns incubating them with her mate. By nesting close together in large groups, fewer nests are vulnerable at the edges, and the vast majority in the middle are given extra protection. These cormorants rely on each other, not just to shelter their young, but also to find food. Working together helps their colony and their species survive. But not all species depend on others for survival. Some have evolved to be more self-sufficient, with unique adaptations that have helped them survive for millions of years. All along the Atlantic coast of North America, horseshoe crabs are gathering for a special ritual, one they've been practicing for over 400 million years. In that time, their armored shells have sheltered them from volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and ice ages. Yet even the best designs have their flaws. Once a year, as spring turns to summer, they arrive on beaches en masse to mate and lay their eggs. The horseshoes huddle in clusters along the water's edge, with several males piling on top of a single female. Using specialized front appendages, the much smaller males desperately try to clasp onto her shell. She digs a shallow nest and lays thousands of eggs, which the males fertilize as quickly as they can. Billions of tiny eggs buried in the sand represent the future for this ancient species. But they also provide an important food source for shorebirds, like these eider ducks. They've developed a clever technique. The females stomp the sand, and the eggs float to the surface. They slurp them up. Only a few of these horseshoe crab eggs will survive to reproduce on their own. But when they do, they'll return to this same beach, just as they have for millions of years. While horseshoe crabs lay thousands of eggs and leave the rest to fate, other species have fewer young, yet go to great lengths to ensure their survival. Just off the coast of Chile lies a rugged, desert island. Its barren, prickly landscape may seem harsh and unwelcoming, but it's an important breeding habitat for a surprising avian resident. Humboldt penguins spend most of their time in the water, but must come ashore to rest, nest, and raise their young. Like miniature torpedoes, their bodies are perfectly adapted for swimming, not for rock climbing. But building their nests up high amongst the cacti shelters them from predators and the intense sunlight. Humboldt penguins are monogamous, and they find their mates using distinct calls. As one mate returns to guard the nest, the other prepares to head out to sea. On a tiny desert island off the coast of Chile, these Humboldt penguins have been relieved from nest duty. And are heading out to catch their dinner. Named after the cold Humboldt Current in which they hunt, Humboldt penguins rely on its nutrient-rich waters to deliver them with healthy populations of anchovies and sardines. But overfishing, along with changes in the ocean currents and temperatures, are making it harder for them to find food. Of the 17 species of penguins alive today, Humboldts are among the most at risk of extinction. Life on the edge can be a challenging existence. Their rocky island home provides the shelter they need to raise their chicks. Whether there will be enough food to feed them, though, is largely up to us. Nearby, the females in the sea lion colony have all given birth within a few days of each other. And a new generation of pups is adjusting to life on the edge. This strategy of mass birthing provides a unique kind of shelter for young sea lions. The mothers work together to watch over their pups. And the pups bond with each other, which strengthens the entire colony. They play together, nurse together, and nap together. For some, it can be hard to sleep when there's an exciting new world to explore, but wandering too far can have dangerous consequences. A mother will do whatever it takes to defend her pup and keep it close. High tides, storms, and abductions by males can all result in a pup getting separated from its mother. The pup calls for its mother, but she can't hear it through the deafening sounds of the colony. Vulnerable and scared, it comes nose to nose with a huge male sea lion. If it doesn't recognize the pup as one of his own, he may try to kill it. A lost sea lion pup is in danger, and its mother is desperately trying to find it before it's too late. Luckily, the male loses interest, and the pup is able to escape. At last, the mother sea lion reunites with her pup. They identify each other through sound, sight, smell, and finally touch. Now, she must get her pup to higher ground. The rocks are slippery, and young sea lions can easily get swept out to sea, where hungry sharks and orcas lurk. At this age, pups are oblivious to many hazards around them. To keep them safe, females choose breeding areas with boulders and tide pools, so their pups can play and learn out of harm's way. Still, the colony is crowded, and another pup has gone missing. Its mother calls for it and sniffs each pup around her. Pups are extremely vulnerable on their own. One wrong move, and they could fall down a cliff or get trampled by a large male. In large colonies, up to half of the pups will die from disease, predation, male aggression, starvation, or drowning. Rescued just in time, this pup will live to see another day. But others aren't so lucky. Life on the edge is fragile, and sometimes the best shelter can't protect against every threat. Yet even in death, there is life. Like its own placenta, the pup's remains will feed other creatures struggling to survive in this harsh environment. Back at the colony, a young mother is about to make a terrible decision. She's taking her pup out to swim, but the waves are too powerful, and the pup isn't yet strong enough to swim on its own. Almost instantly, it disappears in the surf. If she doesn't bring the pup to the surface soon, it will drown. While inexperienced, her maternal instincts to protect her pup kicked in when it mattered most. She has learned a valuable lesson from this traumatic experience and isn't likely to make the same mistake next time. For some, shelter is a family that protects each other against all odds. For others, it's a safe place to play, hide, or raise their young. But whether it's an armored shell or a desert island fortress, every creature must have shelter in order to survive. In this world of oceans. The oceans cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, yet much about them remains a mystery. Just below the surface hides a strange and magical world. Colorful, wonderful creatures waiting to be discovered. And share their secrets. This is Earth's last great frontier, and one of the most challenging places to explore. An environment as fragile as it is harsh and unforgiving for the animals that live here and struggle to survive. In this big blue world of oceans. The warm, sunlit waters around the equator hold one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet. Covering less than 1% of the Earth's surface, but home to 1/4 of all marine species. Coral reefs are the rainforests of the sea. Reefs are made up of colonies of coral polyps, tiny animals that secrete hard exoskeletons to support and protect themselves. The beautifully intricate structures they create provide food and shelter to over 1 million different plants and animals. And millions of people also depend on coral reefs for food, income, medicines, and protection from storms. But everywhere, coral reefs are under attack. Overfishing, pollution, invasive species, and climate change are wreaking havoc on these important places. Working to keep them healthy are the very creatures that live here, each of which plays a unique and vital role on the reef. The more species in an ecosystem, the more resilient it will be to change, and the greater chance it has to survive. Plant-eating fish, like blue tangs, have one of the most important jobs on the reef. They travel in schools and graze on algae, which compete with corals for access to sunlight. Some corals even send out emergency help signals when threatened by toxic algae. In response, fish come to the rescue. By trimming back algae, these fish save coral from being suffocated or poisoned by their deadly competitors. To keep blue tangs and other herbivorous animals in check, the reef relies on predatory fish like jacks, barracudas, and sharks. Horse-eyed jacks prey on small fish, shrimp, and other invertebrates living amongst the coral. They often school around Caribbean reef sharks, one of the most formidable predators on the reef. But the jacks are unfazed, even though a reef shark could easily swallow them whole. They know that reef sharks hunt mostly at night and pose little threat during the day. As apex predators, sharks keep the reef healthy by weeding out animals that are weak and sick. As many more sharks begin to arrive, the smaller fish are getting skittish. Whatever they're here for, it can't be good. In the deeper waters just beyond the coral reef, a group of sharks is circling. Most sharks live a solitary existence, but some are more social. These lemon sharks have gathered here together to take a break from swimming and rest. It was once believed that sharks must keep moving in order to breathe. Now we know they can rest along the bottom as long as the current flows through their gills. Other species find time to relax at cleaning stations, places on the reef where tiny fish and shrimp feast on bacteria and parasites living on other fish. Another cleaner by trade, the parrotfish, is constantly tidying up the reef. Its teeth are fused together, so its mouth looks like a parrot's beak. A parrotfish uses this beak to scrape algae off rocks and get to the even smaller algae living inside coral polyps. In its throat is another set of teeth that grind up the coral skeletons. It excretes fine sand that carpets the ocean floor and builds beautiful white sand beaches. A parrotfish will graze constantly throughout the day, producing 700 pounds of sand per year. What otherwise would be a rocky seafloor now provides places for other creatures to hide. In shallow waters near coral reefs, stingrays spend much of their time buried in sand. Their tails are equipped with serrated venomous spines, which they use for self-defense. They have the most complex brain of all sharks, rays, and skates. And like their cousins, they hunt and navigate by picking up electrical patterns around them. Other species have evolved different tactics to keep a low profile. Dimly lit fields of soft coral are perfect places to blend in. Trumpetfish are impressive camouflage artists. Closely related to seahorses, they have elongated bodies that grow over 3 feet long. They float head down, changing color as needed, and ambushing anything that swims below them. Peacock flounders prefer to lay low. Born with eyes on both sides of their heads, one eye moves to the other side as they mature, which helps them get even lower. For some, camouflage helps catch unsuspecting prey. For others, it's a cunning way to hide from predators. Decorator crabs stick plants and other animals onto their shells, while these shrimp have transparent bodies, so they match their background no matter what. Emperor shrimp blend in well on the backs of sea cucumbers and crawl inside when they need to hide. Some just pretend to be other animals entirely. Upside-down jellyfish are easily mistaken for sea anemones. But the masters of camouflage are octopus, squid, and cuttlefish. They can quickly change colors and patterns to hide from predators. Some even glow in the dark. In the warm waters of the Caribbean, a group of reef squid is going about their day. At night, they'll leave the group to feed on their own. They have the largest eyes of any animal on Earth relative to body size, which they rely on to find prey in the dark. Caribbean reef squid are voracious hunters, devouring 60% of their body weight in fish, crab, and shrimp every night. Within the group, each squid has a specific role. Some are constantly on the lookout for predators and warn the others of approaching danger, while other larger squid are responsible for defending the shoal. By controlling the pigment in their skin, they can change their color and pattern to confuse prey and communicate with each other. Using a language of visual signals, they can send one message to a squid on their right while sending a different message to a squid on their left. And when a predator gets too close, they can change to a pale color and jet away. Another group of colorful reef inhabitants are sponges. From tube-like to barrel to branching, their hues and textures add even more complexity to the reef. They keep the reef healthy by filtering the water and producing waste products that feed other species. They are also a favorite meal for hawksbill sea turtles. Sea turtles have been around for 100 million years, since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Yet today, hawksbills are critically endangered. Entanglement in fishing nets, plastic pollution, and poaching have caused their numbers to plummet. Found in the tropical waters of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, these graceful marine reptiles thrive on coral reefs, where there are abundant sponges, jellyfish, and sea anemones. They are even able to consume prey that would kill other animals, like Portuguese man-o'-wars and toxic sponges. Their narrow heads and hawk-like beaks help them extract food from the crevices along the reef. Because of their tough shells, their only predators are sharks, crocodiles, and very large octopuses. In many cultures, sea turtles represent longevity and endurance. But on the reef, another group of animals outlive all others. In the Gulf of Mexico, a species of black coral was found to be more than 2,000 years old. And in the deep sea, some corals are thought to live for over 4,000 years, longer than any other animal in the ocean. With danger around every corner, growing old on the reef isn't easy, especially for animals on their own. While some team up with different species for protection, others mate for life. French angelfish form monogamous pairs and spend their days foraging on algae, sponges, and soft corals. They work together to defend their territory from competing pairs, like gray angelfish. After a long day of foraging, the pairs return to their hiding places on the reef, dedicated to protecting each other at all times. As prey animals evolve different strategies to stay alive, predators must also adapt to keep up. This predator-prey cycle keeps the reef in equilibrium, but some species, like the Pacific red lionfish, end up in places they don't belong, throwing the entire system out of balance. Native to the Indo-Pacific, lionfish were recently introduced into the Western Atlantic, where they're gulping down native species at alarming rates. Since they have no natural predators, their numbers are exploding, and if left unchecked, they could alter this important habitat forever. One of the lionfish's favorite prey is the yellow goatfish. Without important grazers like these, the entire reef could die. With endless caves and crevices for animals to hide in, carnivorous creatures have developed unique strategies for finding a meal. A large school of yellow goatfish is preparing for their daily hunt along the sea floor. Using long, whisker-like barbels on their chins, goatfish rummage through the sand in search of worms, clams, and other crustaceans. Smooth trunkfish have developed a similar strategy for finding hidden prey. They live on sandy seabeds and coral reefs in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and Western Atlantic. Growing to nearly 2 feet long, their oddly shaped bodies are covered in bony, plate-like scales. Trunkfish are slow-moving, solitary hunters with uniquely evolved jaws. Instead of digging for its dinner, a trunkfish blasts away sand with a jet of water and sucks up whatever it finds. With bulging mouths like the trunkfish, wrasse are the most abundant fish on the reef. Around the world, 500 species come in a range of vibrant colors, shapes, and sizes. These Creole wrasse cruise over the reef, sucking up tunicates, larvae, and jellyfish floating by. They are the only species of wrasse to also feed on plankton. While some creatures have to work for their dinner, others let their food come to them. Garden eels are opportunistic feeders. With their bodies halfway out of their burrows and mouths wide open, they sway with the current, gobbling up any plankton that come their way. Perhaps the most charismatic animals on the reef are the blennies. As ambush predators, they dart out of their burrows to grab their prey before making a hasty retreat. Usually shy and reclusive fish, blennies can be extremely territorial. Though it may not look intimidating, the giant frogfish is a voracious predator. Camouflaged to look like a sponge, they sit motionless, dangling a fleshy lure from their heads to attract prey. Anything that passes within range gets swallowed in a single giant gulp. Nocturnal epaulet sharks hunt using suction. With specially adapted pelvic fins, they walk along the bottom, sucking up worms like a vacuum. But not all worms are sitting ducks. With sensory antennae and hair-triggered jaws, the bobbit worm bites back. The animals that call the coral reef home come in all shapes and sizes. Many have specially adapted bodies to hide and hunt among the many nooks and crannies. Sharp-tail eels are long and slender, allowing them to explore small spaces and feed on hidden creatures. Moray eels prefer to ambush their prey. These opportunistic apex predators have small eyes and rely on their keen sense of smell. The shape of their jaws and teeth varies from species to species. Most have large teeth for gripping slippery prey and shredding flesh. Perhaps the most alien-looking creatures on the reef are the sea anemones. Their bodies are a single polyp, topped by a ring of stinging tentacles that expand to catch prey. Some species form symbiotic relationships with fish or other animals, which benefit each other. Life on the reef is an endless parade of unique shapes and flashy colors and intricate textures. But there's even more going on than meets the eye. Shining ultraviolet light on the reef reveals a whole new world. Different from bioluminescence, these animals have the ability to re-emit the UV light as a different color, a phenomenon called biofluorescence. Many animals have compounds in their tissue that scatter, reflect, or absorb UV light. Some also have UV vision. Scientists only recently discovered that many species, from corals to sea turtles to eels, are biofluorescent. It may have evolved as a way to communicate with each other or to protect themselves from harmful UV radiation. Every new discovery brings us a step closer to understanding our oceans, our planet, and ourselves. We may never really know how many secrets the reefs are holding. But if we let them disappear, we may never find out.